Okay, so I'm here to do something that I've never done before that I've always wanted to try to do, which is stand-up comedy. I have no aspirations of being a comedian. I have no aspirations of probably ever doing this again. This is most likely a one and done, so drink it all in, motherfuckers. Right, you got it all? This side too? Great. And I did have other bits that I wanted to do, but I just kind of figured in my mind that these ones would be the best, so here we go. So I'm a 90s kid. Anybody else a 90s kid in here? Woo! Okay, that's right, man. Born in the 80s, raised in the 90s.
Yeah.
90s nostalgia is everywhere these days. You can't avoid it on the internet. It's ridiculous. You go to any video site and it's like, remember Trapper Keepers? Oh. Hey, remember Dunkaroos? Oh. Remember the OJ chase? Oh. Look, all that stuff was great, but I'm here to tell you, somebody who lived through it, the 90s were fucked up. Okay? You ever been in a snowball fight before? And you have that one kid in the snowball fight who finds a rock and wraps the rock in the snow and throws it at your face? That's the 90s. Okay? Everything they did was 10 times more extreme and 100 times more horrible, and no one had a reason for any of it. Okay? All of the decades had their share of problems. Good things and bad things, but the 90s just kind of blew them away. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? I'm sitting there as a young kid of like 8 years old. We're eating dinner at the dinner table, and suddenly on the evening news, I hear two words that have burned into my head for the rest of my lives, and that is Lorena Bobbitt. Lorena Bobbitt, if you don't know, cut off her husband's penis and threw it out of a car window, and they broadcast this on the evening news. I heard this from Dan Rather, okay? But beyond that, let's talk about the 90s taking things to extremes. It's pretty simple, okay? Let's take toys, for example. In the 50s and 60s, the toys were very simple. You had your Slinky and your Mr. Potato Head. And then you go into the 70s with your Stretch Armstrongs. In the 80s, they had a little cube with different colors on it. That was like it. And then Nintendo came and Game Boy came. And then there was the 90s. And they created a little toy. It's a fun little robot that you put in its pocket. And you can feed that robot. And you can keep that robot alive and keep it happy. And you can clean up its poops. And that robot was called the Tamagotchi. And that should be the end of it, right? Nope, not the fucking 90s. You want to know why? Because you can also starve that thing to death. And it's not so much that you can starve the thing to death because you like to think to yourself, okay, once that thing is dead, it's dead, you're going to throw it away. Nope. You can reboot that robot and starve it to death again, and again, and again. And that was the gist of the Tamagotchi. But then, take toys out of it. We expand on toys about how they did things for no fucking reason in the 90s. Like, take video games, for example. You start out with Pong, and, you know, the little ball went back and forth, and eventually Pac-Man, a little wedge, ate some things, and then, you know, Mario decided to save the princess, and Link saved the princess, and then, you know, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came out, and you got to beat up a rapist, and that was pretty fun. And then the 90s came around, and some executive was sitting in a boardroom and said, I have an idea. I'm going to create a character named Sub-Zero. Oh yeah, what does Sub-Zero do? Well, Sub-Zero is going to rip a guy's head off, and his spinal cord is going to dangle there, and blood's going to come out of it.
Jeez.
And why are you to do that? I don't know. That's it. That was the 90s. Take concerts, for example. In the 1960s, you had Woodstock. Peace, love, and rock and roll. Music can change the world, and it did. It changed everything. You go to the 80s. Live Aid. Feed the Children. Queen's are going to get back together. All right. And then the 90s. 90s come along. What were the 90s concert? Oh, the big concert at the end of the year where a bunch of 20-year-olds decided to listen to a little bit too much Korn and a little bit too much Limp Bizkit and decided to light an entire Air Force Base on fire. Why'd they do it? I don't know. Let's just blame the music, right? And that's the gist of the 90s. People just kind of did things and they didn't know why, but it was a lot more extreme. Let's take a look at celebrities, okay? Who are the celebrities everyone was supposed to be scared of over the course of the years? years. Ozzy Osbourne, why he bit the head of a bat? That's pretty spooky. You got Alice Cooper. Oh yeah, he did a lot of like satanic lyrics. That's pretty crazy. And don't forget about Stevie Nicks. Oh, you couldn't listen to Stevie Nicks. Why? Because she wore flowing clothes. Therefore, she was a witch. And then came the 90s. And we had a man called Marilyn Manson who removed 2 ribs so he could suck his own cock. Now, I'm not saying that the 90s were bad, but like I said, everybody took it to a new extreme. You didn't even know why. You even take a look at celebrity deaths. I can tell you this right now. 1980, John Lennon was shot. We know where he was shot. He was shot in Central Park West in front of the Dakota building. We know why he was shot. It was a crazed fan. We know who that fan was, Mark David Chapman. He was arrested, and he is still doing time for that crime today. But then there's the 90s. Oh my God, did you hear Tupac got shot? Oh my God, where'd that happen? In Vegas. Who did it? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. Is there going to be like a police investigation? No. Well, what are you going to do? Well, here's what we're planning on doing to deal with all this. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of his unrecorded materials and we're just going to release it every like 2 or 3 years, and we're going to create this rumor that he didn't really die and he's really under an assumed name. Yeah, okay, that could probably work, but if it's the only time it happens. 6 months later. Hey, did you hear Biggie died? Oh my God, where'd that happen? Los Angeles. Who did it? I don't know. Are you going to investigate? Nah. Here's what we're going to do with this one. Just say the Crips did it. It was the Crips. It's LA, it's the Crips, right? So that's basically the gist of the 90s. A lot of people did extreme things, and no one really knew why. 70s got rid of polyester because it was ridiculous. The 80s got rid of shoulder pads because they were ridiculous. What was the clothing material that the 90s got rid of? Trench coats. And we all know why they got rid of trench coats, didn't they? That's right. But the one thing that I love about the 90s, one thing I love more than anything about the 90s is 90s music. I love 90s music. Do you guys love 90s music?
Yes!
Here's what I love about 90s music is that I think it was a very underrated time. Okay? The music before it, it's hard to live up to some of the songwriters of that time. Your Lennons and McCartneys, your Dylans, your Morrisons, your Simon and Garfunkels, they were troubadours, they were great. In the 90s, you got a song out and an hour later it was being made fun of by Beavis and Butthead. It was really hard to take it seriously. But the difference between the two eras is that in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, they were optimists. They basically wrote about 2 things. Either number 1, instructions on how to take drugs, or number 2, what your life could be. It was very hopeful. In the same era, you got she's all right, she's all right, she's all right, cocaine, and all you need is love. That's pretty much what that whole era was. The 90s were different. They were cynical. They were real. They didn't tell you what your life could be. They told you what your life would be. The problem is no one was listening. So here's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to give you an old school 90s mixtape full of lyrics that not only predicted, but accurately would show the average life of an average American male. Do you want to do that right now?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. Okay. So, now, again, this is just the average American male. There are some things that vary, but we're going to start at adulthood. We're going to start at 18 going into your 20s, and when you're an adult male and you're 18 and you're going into your 20s, there's only one thing that you can think of in your life, and that is, I want to fuck you like an animal. I want to feel you from the inside. And you go to the clubs and you go to the bars and you think to yourself, I want to fuck you like an animal. I want to feel you from the inside. And maybe one of these days you're going to find somebody lucky. You're going to find a girl who will go down on you in a theater. And maybe she's a really cool girl. She's into polyamory. She's into extra things. She says to you, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. But in reality, that doesn't work out. In reality, what happens is that average American man goes into a bar, and he approaches somebody, and she gives him a look that says, you're a creep, you're a weirdo, what the hell are you doing here? You don't belong here. Because after all, nobody likes you when you're 23. Now, as the years go on, you start to mature a little bit. You start to take away that cerebral side. And you start to think, you're going to find a girl and you're going to get yourself married. And you want to find that person that you can actually say to them is, I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And you decide to get married. And you think marriage is going to be everything you want. She's going to be there, or he's going to be there. I don't care. It's 2024. But it was the 90s, so who knows? And you think to yourself, they're going to be there. It's going to be wedded bliss. But what you realize, what you come to soon realize is that what marriage really is somebody coming home every single day saying, do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? But as the old saying goes, is here comes love, here comes marriage, here comes a baby in the baby carriage, and you eventually have a kid, or maybe kids. And you think this is going to be it. This is the family that I've always wanted. This is the life that I've always wanted, until you realize the truth is that kids aren't about rainbows and sunshine. All the kids say is, here we are now, entertain us. So now we move on. Now you're 40 years old. You're at a job that you hate, with a boss that you hate, and a commute that you hate, and you're just kind of hating life because you're just a drone who works at a company. And as you're driving to that job that you absolutely hate, the one thing that you continuously think to yourself is, if I had $1 million, I'd be rich. And you sit in your cubicle and you work your dead-end job for your dead-end boss, and the only thing that you can think to yourself is, despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage. And you cannot wait until that day comes where you can finally leave and you can tell that dickhead boss, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. But you can't do that, so instead, you stop at your favorite watering hole at night, and you drink a whiskey drink, you drink a vodka drink, you drink a cider drink, and you drink a vodka drink. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called alcoholism. But wait, your 40s are over. You're going into your 50s, and that's an important time for a man. Why? Because you're about to have what's called a midlife crisis. That's right. You want to be young again. You will do anything to get back to this point right here, where you can walk around with your cock out and say, I want to fuck you like an animal. I want to feel you from the inside. But you know what? You can't do that anymore because you're physically not able. So you pivot. You pivot. And you realize that you're still listening to 9 Inch Nails when you're changing the song. Because instead of singing Closer, you're thinking you are the perfect drug, the perfect drug, the perfect drug, and that is Viagra. And after your 50s are over, things are kind of calm, and you think about your life for a while, and you're sitting there, and you're thinking about all the experiences you've had, and all the good times you've had, and the bad times you've had, and you open up your mouth, and all you say, the profound thing that you say is, and that's called a stroke.
Oh my God!
Now you might survive the stroke, you might not survive the stroke. Maybe you're an old man that turns 98, you win a lottery, you die the next day. But at the end of the day, you're all going to end up at the same place. You will be the man in the box. Thank you all so much.